The WALS application strategy using VectoBac WDG can be conducted using various types of equipment, including aerial equipment, backpack equipment, and truck-mounted equipment. Today we're going to review the parts and pieces of the A1 and go through the basic methods of how to calibrate flow. First, we're going to start by going through some of the basic things you need to know to operate the equipment. The A1 comes equipped with a 100-gallon spray tank with a screw-on cap. It also has recirculation capability, but it's not enough to mix product inside the tank. It's also graduated on both the front and the side in gallons and milliliters, so you know how much fluid is in it at all times. In addition, there's a drain valve at the bottom so that you can empty the tank anytime you want. And just behind that valve is where the filter is located. The filter can be difficult to reach. However, it's important that you clean it after each mission. To do so, just reach in and unscrew the housing, and inside is the screen. Clean the filter screen, put it back inside, screw it back on, and this should be done at the end of the cleaning process after each mission. This is the area where most of your parts and pieces and controls are located, so we're quickly just going to review what each of those are. This is your Honda motor. It's the GX630, and your oil cap is located right here. It requires 10W30 oil, and you have a dipstick located right here so that you can check the oil, and it's recommended that you check it before each mission. This is the main area, the control panel basically. You have your choke located right here. It pulls in and out. You have a section for your key and a tachometer. It's important to pay attention to the tachometer and to check the manual, as there is a maintenance schedule in there for every so many hours of required maintenance and the items that you'll have to do for that maintenance repair. This is your water pump located down here. It's a Hi-Pro 6 roller, and all of the plumbing that goes into the water tank goes this direction. Here you have the pressure gauge and relief valve area. We'll be talking more detail about this because this is the area where we will adjust flow and adjust pressure later on in our calibration techniques. In addition, you'll see some of the electrical stuff that's located right here. It's important to note that there are a few fuses in here, so during troubleshooting things, make sure to check these fuses. There's a 30 amp fuse here, and it was in this cap, and then in here is a 5 amp fuse. Also, just to the right of all of these, you will see the battery is located over here, and it requires a 12-volt battery. It can be a marine or auto battery. However, it does not come, the equipment does not come with that, so you'll need to acquire that before you are ready to start the equipment. Here we are on the other side of the equipment where the gas tank is located, and it requires unleaded fuel only. You can see the oil filter is located under here, and also up here is the main hub for the remote control electronic system. The A1 also comes equipped with a flow meter. We'll talk more about this in detail when we talk about our calibration techniques. The A1 requires a key to start. It is important that you do not leave the key in the on position when you're not running the equipment, as it will run the battery down very quickly. Once started, the unit is controlled with this remote control. The A1 remote is easy to use. It has a button to turn the spray on and off while operating, a master kill switch, 2 buttons for throttle down and throttle up, and 2 arrows which control the boom angle. During normal operations, it's best to have the boom pointing straight up. The A1 comes equipped with the Micronair AU5000 atomizer. This gives it the ability to give us the drop spectrum required for a successful WALS application. It comes standard with the 2.75-inch blades set at the second notch at 55 degrees. Now that we've covered all the parts and pieces of the A1, we're going to go through the basics of how to calibrate flow. To do that, we're going to need a few items. You're going to need a socket wrench and a regular wrench to remove the Micronair from the boom. There are 4 screws on each of the tags. For this I've already removed ours, but you'll need to remove them prior to start. You'll also need a graduated bucket of some sort, maybe a cylinder, something like that, where you can actually measure the amount of fluid that's come out of the machine, and a couple of 5-gallon buckets in which we'll actually capture the material coming out during the calibration. To start though, we must talk about the flow meter that is attached to the A1. This is a FlowMech flow meter, and it is just before the micronair head. It can display gallons or liters, and it has a few different other things you can do with it. It is important to know that when you first get it, it will be in factory mode. And factory mode is usually what we use for water calibration. It has another calibration mode called field calibration, which is used for more viscous material. So for example, if you're mixing a 24% VectoBac WDG solution, you may want to go through the steps of field calibration to make sure that your flow meter is accurate. As a general statement, it is always valuable to calibrate your flow meter to make sure that it is measuring accurately. We've already done that prior to this calibration. To begin, we're going to set the flow meter to the desired flow rate. To do this, we're going to use the pressure gauge and the pressure relief knob to adjust the pressure, increasing the pressure or decreasing the pressure, therefore increasing the flow or decreasing the flow. To do this, you will loosen the lock nut at the bottom of the knob. Then you can move it in either direction. When you move it clockwise, it will increase the pressure and increase the flow. When you move it counterclockwise, it will decrease the pressure and decrease the flow. Once you get it set and the desired flow rate is appearing on the flow meter, lock the lock nut in place so that it does not move during regular operation. Now that you have the flow meter set to your desired flow rate, remove the micronair head from the boom by removing all 4 screws. I've taken them out before this just to save a little bit of time. And you'll have a little bit of leeway in the hose where you can turn the micronair just outside of the airflow. Then you will need a 5-gallon bucket to place just underneath the micronair head so that you can catch the material coming out. Now that we're all ready, we're going to calibrate the flow. We're going to turn on the equipment, throttle it all the way to full throttle, and turn the spray on for 1 minute, collecting all the material in the bucket. After the 1 minute, we'll measure the amount of material and ensure that our desired flow rate is achieved and the flow meter is accurate. After the 1 minute run, I take all the material in the bucket, pour it into my graduated bucket, and measure the actual output to ensure that we have 1.5 gallons a minute. And indeed, 1.5 gallons per minute. I normally do this process 3 times to ensure accuracy. If I need to make adjustments, I do that and then try to do 3 times with the same measurement. And that is the basics of how you calibrate flow on the A1 Super Duty.